some money.
Welcome to EduSkate Board Shop of Cedar Rapids. My name is Nate. I'll be your host today. So I have a feeble attempt at a museum up here. These are some boards dating back to the early 1950s. Obviously the OG sidewalk surfer was just people in their garage taking their sister's roller skates and bolting them down to a piece of 2x4. You know, good old steel wheels on there so you could slide out and everything. Hit one rock, lose 10 teeth. Dentists love people that rode those boards for sure, man. You know, the surf was down, people wanted to skate. Coastal reaches, obviously, when it became something that was marketable, people in the landlocked communities of, you know, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, you know, et cetera, started skating. And of course, these companies came out, Nash and Veriflex, and I could go on, Woody, etc. And these brands were kind of very prevalent. The most huge ones to me were the ones like the Titan Rocket, which was only available at Montgomery Ward's, and then of course the famous Woody, which was from Sears and Roebuck. And these guys in the 1950s pretty much domesticated the field because of course those were like the Amazon of their day, right? They were everywhere. And you know, what was neat about these boards was a lot of times they were just promotional devices. It was like, come and buy a barbecue grill, and here's a free sidewalk stuff for the kiddos. You know, so it was like, you know, you'd see these like old illustrations, old magazines, these guys smoking a cigar, like barbecuing with their wife in the poodle skirt with their big old thing of lemonade, and the little kid on his Titan Rocket, like, thank you, Dad. You know, like, I went to Montgomery Ward, you know, and so it's such a neat era to me about that. And of course, obviously the skate industry, as it grew and became a multi-million-dollar field, instead of just like this kind of cottage industry, they went into making clay wheels. So the clay wheels, those are actually tempered clay if you look at them closely. They're not wood, and they have those you know, those dark terracotta colored wheels. And so, you know, tempered clay is just like tempered steel. It's very strong, and you know, you wouldn't think clay would ever be strong, not brittle, but they gripped better. So you would take corners, you wouldn't slide out as easy. They had a little bit more give to them, so you didn't feel like your teeth were going to rattle out. There's a huge advance, you know, in skateboard technology at the time. It was like the invention of plastic with you know, phones or whatever, you know. And so, you know, whatnot, basically people skate around on those, and they lasted a lot longer. They didn't slide out as much, there wasn't many injuries. And then, of course, you get to the 60s and the 70s. The 60s, the urethane wheel was born. And, of course, these are some of the early Cadillac wheels, the sepia-colored ones, those ones that kind of that amber tint to them. Those are the first urethane wheels, and that was like what we skate today, pretty much. It hasn't changed a whole lot. And, of course, there's different durometers and different contact patches and millimeter heights, but pretty much the general like recipe for the urethane wheel has not changed at all in like, you know, 60 some years. And it's pretty impressive, man, seeing how they, you know, of course, different shapes and sizes of that. And of course, you know, I got an old Zephyr up there, an old Gordon Smith. Any skate nerd out there watching this will know any of those brands. You know, those are kind of the coveted geek out skateboard collectibles. And of course, you get through the 70s, they started to experiment with weird stuff. Brands like Makaha were trying to rip off the Lamborghini Countach and trying to make things look like exotic Italian sports cars. And, you know, pro class was doing like photos of their favorite, you know, their favorite team rider on the top, graphics and all this stuff. And they're all competing using fiberglass and plastic and hickory and wood and maple and, you know, maple wood, obviously it's all wood, but, you know, different breeds of trees, you know, everything from birch to, you know, white rock Canadian maple, which we still use today. Then in the 1980s, this is my favorite wall up here. Old Jason Jesse Santa Cruz, you know, an old Sword and Skull Pal Peralta, an old Joe Lopes Schmidt Stick, Mark Gonzalez Vision, a Vision Shredder, and a Planet Earth, Buster Halterman. And these boards, this is, you know, back when like park skating was kind of revamping, it was coming back to life. You know, McGill Skate Ranch, Delmar Skate Ranch, you know, Upland, all these places like that, you know, Kona, were all kind of revitalizing themselves all around the country. And again, you didn't need much of a nose, you know, to do a giant backsit air, to like, you know, obviously do like a crail stall. And so, long story short, you know, noses weren't really a thing that was prevalent yet. You know, it wasn't really thought of that you could hook your foot better for a higher ollie yet with that, and that there'd be advantage to having like what we call now a popsicle stick shape. And so then we go into like the 90s, like over here, and you start seeing how things become the popsicle stick shape. Rodney Mullen was the inventor of the popsicle stick, and of course his freestyle prowess was prevalent, you know, with inventing not only the kickflip but tray flip, ollie impossible. Ollie Geflin involved the ollie long before that on just a, you know, squared out board with no nose. But, you know, it's kind of interesting to see that evolution of how things go from like the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s up there. And, you know, of course, there was like sidetrack boards, like, you know, like freestyle boards like this from the 80s. They were just squared off. And, of course, this is like what Mullen pretty much invented every modern, you know, flip trick on. You know, in the 70s, you got more of your bullet nose, your diamond tails, things like that. The 80s, it went to like the fishtail, went to that really wide body, no concave, you know, panhead hardware. Really hard durometer wheels for that nice chirp on a power slide, you know. Truck brands like Galling even put little bevels in their hangers so you could lock into grinds easier. Isn't that funny? That was like a very short-lived trend because, of course, now there's a lot of grinds where, you know, your crooked grinds, your feeble grinds. overcrooks, hurricane stuff where you lock into actually different areas of the truck. But back then it was just 50/50s and 5/0s and little nose grinds. You know, this is the shit right here. You know, guys like Ben Schroeder, guys like Lester Kasai, obviously Steve Caballero, you know, Lance Mountain, Tony Hawk, Jason Jesse, you know, Mike Conroy, dudes like that were skating trucks like that, just killing it on them. And then of course you get to the 90s, the shovel nose was born, the squared off tail, guys like Brian Lottie, dudes like, I mean, we could go on all day. Guys like, you know, Frankie Hill, dudes of that nature were skating these prevalently. Let's see, Mark Heinzman is really notable for skating a board like that. Guy Mariano, dudes like that, you know, even early day one song footage. And, you know, these guys were skating these big shovel noses all squared off. They could lock into nose blunt slides, and blunt slides were real easy. And, you know, it was just, it became very prevalent for like your, you know, your tray flips in and out of stuff. You know, 50/50 grind, tray flip 50/50 grinds. All, you know, Mike Carroll, you look at some of the old H Street footage of him and Josh Swindle, and, you know, even early Pat Duffy, this is the shape of board they were skating. And then, of course, it goes in the popsicle stick. Like we mentioned earlier, Rodney Mullen came with the popsicle, and of course in the early 90s things were rough, no pun intended. Everyone thought it'd be cool to skate really small wheels. The way tricks were evolving back then, your late shove it flips, pressure flips, it had a lot of flex to the truck, so there was a lot of wheel bite going on. And the thing was, the stoners in the skate industry, you know, weren't engineers. They were like, you know what we'll do to get rid of that? We'll just make the wheels smaller. Instead of thinking, let's make a harder bushing, or like think of different durometers of pivot cups, they just thought, why change the suspension? Let's just make a smaller wheel. It'd be like if your wheels are bottoming out in your car, you just got really small wheels instead of getting better coilover springs. It was kind of silly, but you know, it was a short-lived thing. It's the Pinto of skateboarding, but I had to have one because I'm a nerd. I'm a meticulous geek with this stuff. And then of course it went to like the early 2000s. You know, they started putting carbon fiber inlays into boards. You know, 2004 is when they introduced that, and all the slide plates on truck base plates, so you could slide a little bit easier without having to bevel out on aluminum and things like that. That was a huge innovation forward, and pretty much there hasn't been really like any innovations since then that are extremely prevalent. I mean, of course, there's little gimmicks, there's little tiny things here and there, but you know, it's all minute details, not something that's, you know, major like the internal combustion engine major, you know. Another thing we do differently here at EduSkate Board Shop, we have demos of different boards all throughout the shop. So if you're new to skating and you're trying to figure out what kind of board you want to ride, what kind of board you might hate, what kind of board you might like, I have different shapes and sizes of boards all throughout the shop people can take for a spin. You know, I got soft wheels, you know, soft rubber wheels, soft, you know, bushings, hard bushings. Every shape board and size of board, I have different, like, basically different equipment underneath it. So you can try out different range of trucks, different response systems, boards with risers, boards without risers. I mean, I could geek out for hours about that. You'll be here till midnight. But pretty much, think of me as like a Roppongi District Tokyo sushi chef. I want you to leave here with a smile on your face, and if I haven't done that, I've failed at my job, and you know, death before dishonor, right? Like, there's a slight exaggeration. I'm not gonna, you know, commit harikari, but at the same time, I want to make sure if you spend your hard-earned money with me, you're gonna spend it on something you're gonna be happy with. So things like a car dealership or, you know, a guitar center, you try out everything first, then we build you something accordingly to what you like. I think this is the best thing about a skate shop. This is my favorite part of the job right here. You get this grip tape all down, you flatten it down. It always likes to bubble up, so you kind of have to do this little dance around on it. If you wonder why it looks so funny like this, it's always hilarious. It looks like you're like trying to, like, I don't know, make a pizza or something. Like you're kneading dough or something of that nature. Even though they have perforated holes in them, as you can see in the back of that, there's like these little holes to help the air escape from under them, so there's not as many blisters. You still get them, but not as much as did the old school before they invented that. The old days, man, it was like grip tape was like this forever thing, man. You know what we do is we usually do like the little relief cuts, so you don't get any what we call shark bites on the concave. This just kind of keeps any crinkles out, so you don't feel like there's a pebble in your shoe when you're trying to go for your first ollie of the day. You grab one of these guys, a good old rasp, go around it with the radius of that guy. It kind of gives me a nice little line. Not only does it highlight where I'm going, but it also gives me a little effect of use the razor, and kind of gives me a nice little. It's kind of nice to being a kid and, you know, going to Perkins or Denny's or whatever, and you know, grabbing the coloring book and you know, filling in the lines or whatever. And I always take a nice razor, sharp as the devil himself. You know, trying to make sure it's not as dull as daytime TV. And you always cut towards yourself when you're doing a grip job, which is totally something every mother told everyone not to do. My first job in a skate shop when I was 14, my mom was mortified. You know, I told her, I was like, yeah, I was taught to cut towards myself, right? Like every mom is scared of, like, cut towards yourself. And it was like chopsticks at first. I'll admit, I was very, you know, I looked like a deer lost in the woods. The first time I did this, it was horrible. I had some good bosses. They were cool. They were patient. Taught me how to do it, and here I am, 3 decades later, still doing it the same way I did then. Fly around that sucker. And we take all this extra stuff and we use it as fly paper in here to catch these damn flies that are on there. Best fly, well, not the best fly paper. Actually, real fly paper is probably the best fly paper. It gets the job done. I'm insulting the fly paper companies by saying it's the best. I am biased, of course. I own a skate shop, so of course I think grip tape is the. I gotta say it's the best, right? But honestly, like the hardware store fly paper probably works better. So that's why this stuff's all stuck up here for my flies. You know, you land on that and get them over. And we sand down the edges. The reason we do that is what can happen is when you start really getting the technical tricks, your shove it flips and kick flips, pressure flips, stuff like that. What happens is your foot's always hanging off the side of your board, and it can rip up the grip tape with the sole. So I always sand down, just flat it out, so you have less of a chance of that happening. Again, anything can happen in this world, but it increases your chance of it never happening. But again, that's not until you start doing a lot of flip tricks, and a lot. I mean a lot. Like you gotta do it to like a compulsive rate where you're just doing it every day, like a million hours there. So you're gonna be like, what's up with this maniac? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you'll know when someone does a lot of flip tricks because you all see like this kind of scuffed off edge on the board, like, oh shit, like, don't play that guy in a game of skate. So the last choice, which I didn't mention, do you want shiny bolts or black bolts?
I think black.
You got it.
With everything else black. So.
I thought the same thing, but I was like, hey man, you're bored, man. If someone wants you to put chocolate syrup on eggs over easy, I'll do it, Yeah. I'll do whatever, man. But I agree, I thought the black was pretty fly, It's gonna be a fun time lapse. Get all the bolts in there. I was using magnet pan. In the old days I didn't. The bolts would go everywhere, man. It was hilarious. I just buy them in bulk loads now. I'm like, it's like, I got this idea from like when you're in a bar and you see like all the like, all the like garnishes for the drinks.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I need that in the shop for my bolts. They got all the lemons and limes and cherries and whatever, grenadine cherries and all that jazz. And don't worry, I'll flip it around in a second because this looks so boring on camera right now, I'm sure.
You're good.
Someone walked in, sorry. I was just hallucinating skating. I was like, I heard something. I think there's a ghost in this building, dude, for real. So many times over the years I hear weird things. What the hell's going on? So don't worry if you get haunted. I apologize. All right. Dude, that clutch smell's coming back in. You hear it? Smell that? Burnt clutch smell?
I think they were pouring asphalt out there when we were walking.
Oh man, maybe it's something to do with the asphalt machine or something. I love how I blame my wife. What's that damn smell? Not me. I'm so sorry. Sorry, hon. I thought she was burning out her pressure washer, her screen print stuff. So we do a lot of screen printing too. That's the other business that's in here. It's her world. That's all that sweatshop stuff is behind me. Print shirts for, stuff like, your Kennedy shirt and things like that shirt, the Ghost Strong. There we go. Like that was like, is that Hell Rider? No, Ghost Rider? Is that his name? The motorcycle guy?
Yeah.
Not Jacob. Nicolas Cage played. It took me, man. It's like, hell yeah. I've seen the movie, parts of it I don't remember. I think I was drunk. It was the middle of the night. So I'll be honest, I didn't retain any of the information, so I'll fail the test on it. So I put there it is. I'll be careful, buddy.
Oh, you're right.
I was like, where did I put that at? I lose my head if it wasn't screwed up. Now I'm gonna do this backwards for the camera. I can do it both ways. I'm not I am kind of ambidextrous, but that way it looks cooler on camera. It's not that hard to do it either way, really. I got tools. If I was Amish, this would suck because I'm left-handed. If I had to do this like with like some old corkscrew thing, like the weird tools the Amish dudes rock are so crazy. Ooh, that one didn't have threads on there. I sometimes say that like when the batteries die. I'm like, sorry, it's gonna take longer to build your board. I gotta go Amish. Or like they look at me like, huh? I'm like, Amish. And they do this one the way I'm used to doing it. Gives you a little check the position for the video. And so with the bearings, up the road, if you ever get sick of the bearings and you're like, dude, I'm feeling too slow, which you won't at first, but like up the road and start flying down stuff, come see me and we'll put some higher end bearings in there, Just think of it as like a guy dropping different motors in there and stuff like that. Like, I just wanna, I'm a super nerd for this stuff. As my friend can tell you, I like to geek out on every little finite detail. I'm gonna try to make this look as cool on camera as possible. Keeping my head out of the way of it. You don't just see my dumb head. Poking in there.
You're solid.
Cool, man. But I wish I could do this all like a badass cocktail. Like, you know, like when you're filling shots, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You see just lining them up and all that jazz, you know. Actually, you know what would be really sick right now for the camera? Just because I'm gonna do some stage presence here. Like that. Yeah, you like that? I'm trying to be all smooth and sly. I'll use a bright orange berry impress so it shows up from all the black, because the blackberry impress won't look like I'm doing anything. Let me know too yet. I can. There you go, buddy. Let me know when you're framed up. Just give me an action, and you're the director.
Get it.
All right. Gifted. If I was really a pro, I would have like not done that, but it's cool. I was like using the magnet. Yeah, you got some magnetized bearings now. How cool is that? I don't know if there's any advantage or not. I was just having fun. So some cool scientist will probably tell me something. You just realized you made your horsepower. This is what it was. Yeah. I don't know if I have advantage. It's funny. Yeah, Lindsay, were you stoked on this Institute of Sound coming on?
No. Somebody made my little rock thing.
Some.
Somebody made the whole rock thing.
Oh, that's the nuclear testing Oppenheimer's out there. I forgot to tell you guys. Yeah, you guys, by walking to Cedar Rapids, you signed a waiver by just driving in. They're working on some new nuclear devices. It's called the skateboards can survive this, anybody can. So it's okay. It's underground testing. You'll be fine.
All right.
You might be going green in the morning. You get up in the middle of the night and piss nothing but yellow, like bright.
Oh, we already get that from Halos.
Yeah.
I'm immune now.
You're immune now anyway. You're good, man. You know, like Godzilla was here. You notice that Godzilla took a big shot on the street. You see all this all over the ground. It's insane. Godzilla and Gamma are having a brawl. He just had diarrhea asking for Pepto. He's gonna just busting raw colon everywhere. And he's like, look at this green shit still out there. He's like, oh. And I was like, damn it, Godzilla, you're really rude for customers. And no one brought a doggy bag for him. You know, just like, hey, you know, like. And poor Godzilla, like, you know how much Pepto-Bismol that dude had to go through? Same thing aside, I felt bad for the poor dude. He skated out of here and he was trying to ask me where the nearest airport was to go back to Japan. I was like, that was a plane big enough for him. He was lost, but he was cool. So now they're doing nuclear testing next to Godzilla, of course. And whatever, it's cool. Alright, buddy. This guy's phone is probably so full of crap now. He's like, dude, you gonna ever shut us and build this thing so I have a cool video? I would have this done half the time if I wasn't talking.
You're gonna make that 10-minute mark still, maybe.
Dude, sick. I am? Oh,
Yeah.
kick ass. All right, bro, we're going. We're gonna race it. Do it.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
10 seconds? Oh, I'm not gonna make it. Congratulations, sir.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
ready to rip, dude.
All right, we're back. My arm was tired. Put it on the tripod. Been open for 12 years, you said?
11.
11,
That's,
almost
I'm working on my 12.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll be here 12.
Right.
12th round, buddy. We're
No.
working on it. Hopefully we're here next summer.
Now I got a question that might be a bad one to answer. How long have you been skating?
Oh, God, I've been skateboarding since 1987.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, a long time, yeah.
I will say that's a year older than I've been alive, sir. Which is, I mean, that's awesome.
Old man, I'm old man. It's all right, man. It's
Which
awesome.
anybody that's watching the video still,
Yeah.
you got to see some clips of,
man.
of this younger man still shredding at the skate park. So,
That's awesome, man. I'm honored, man. I'm humble, man.
what is the address here? Just
Oh,
people want to know.
honestly, you know what's not funny? I'm making it so dyslexic on it. Let's read it off the thing so I don't biff it on camera here. It's 208 12th Avenue Southeast, Suite B, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 52401.
There it is, everybody. If you're in Cedar Rapids and you're checking out the park, maybe you're gonna run into this guy. His name's Nate. Super cool dude. Owns the shop. The shop is literally across the river from the park, so it's a push away, a ride away, or a drive for people like us. So I'm gonna give you a couple more shots of the shop and check some more stuff out.
Right on. I appreciate you, John.
Dude, hell
Thank
yeah.
you, bro.
Hell
Thanks,
yeah.
dude. Yeah.